All right, Black Goose TV family, what's good with it? I got some more boxing news for y'all, so hopefully you guys are interested in what I'm about to be getting into. Now, I'm gonna say this right now: disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. I understand this particular topic right here has been exhausted by the boxing community. I love boxing. I follow boxing. I follow all different type of YouTube channels when it comes to boxing. So I already know this topic right here. It's been covered over and over again when it comes to the day. As soon as it was reported, people was all over it. So I'm just gonna tell you right now, when y'all start the video, y'all read the title right here, y'all already know what this is gonna be about. But what I'm going to do, or at least try to do, is make it a little bit different. This is gonna be too long of a video, but I want you guys to understand why I'm excited hearing this type of news. And it doesn't necessarily mean because Lomachenko versus Kambosos is happening, because you also see at the end of my title, it says, what about Devin Haney? Me personally, I would rather see Kambosos versus Devin Haney. I thought personally that we were going to see Kambosos versus Devin Haney, especially since Kambosos himself said, I'm not going to be like these other motherfuckers. I'm not going to be like Tafimo. I want you next, Haney. It made sense to me. They're both under promotional company, The Zone, keep the money in-house. So I'm like, why not? Of course that's going to happen. But obviously it shows the power Bob Arum has, shows the power behind Lomachenko's brand, and who he is, that it was looking like allegedly, supposedly, Lomachenko versus Kambosos was going to be next. Obviously, we had this unfortunate situation when it comes to the war, and a lot of the Ukraine boxers ended up withdrawing from their fights, you know what I'm saying, to go help and fight in the war. Now, we have this new update, you know what I'm saying? For the longest, we thought Lomachenko was not going to be back. Same with Usyk, and that's kind of what I'm rolling into as well. We thought Lomachenko was going to be back. So, I also did a report. Eddie Hearn, made it pretty clear, made it pretty apparent that they are fighting to try and get the Kambosos versus Devin Haney deal done, because it does look like Lomachenko's probably not going to be back. Basically, from Eddie Hearn's sentiments, we've heard him actually even, say to Usyk himself, yo, we need to know something, because I got Anthony Joshua over here and I need to make a move. We need to know something. A lot of people thought it was insensitive on Eddie Hearn's part, et cetera, et cetera. But you got to understand it's business. So can't bring your emotions into business, right? I got to tell myself that all the time. You go to the job, you get paid for whatever the fuck you do. A lot of times you want to get emotional because you feel like you should be treated a certain way. You feel like you should be looked at a certain way. That's emotion. You can't put your emotion into business. Money is separate from business. Learn how to make the money without putting your emotions into it. So that's all Eddie Hearn is doing when he was like, hey, what's going on? So it only makes sense with Lomachenko possibly not being able to fight Kambosos, but nothing being official, that he, slides on in and he says, hey, Devin Haney's over here. Kambosos, you're going to need to fight someone. And Devin Haney makes the most sense, in-house money, all that good stuff, right? So my perspective for this, when you look at this title right here, what I'm saying, what you see what Lomachenko is trying to do, let's go ahead and read it. Lomachenko seeking to leave Ukraine to fight Kambosos on June 5th. If this is true, there's a possibility of a ripple effect, right? Because who else is looking for an interim fight right now? Anthony Joshua, because we don't know what's going on with Usyk. Right, Usyk has made it pretty clear. I won't say he made it pretty clear, but there's been a lot of speculation whether or not Usyk's going to even be back for this year, right? And it's all pertaining around the Ukraine and Russia war. This is probably one of the first one of the first reports that we've heard from a prominent Ukraine fighter like a Lomachenko, probably the most prominent, that he's looking to leave and come and still fight on the reported scheduled date of June 5th. Why is this important? Because if Lomachenko, like I said, one of the more higher profile boxers from Ukraine, is willing to do it, why wouldn't Usyk be willing to do it? So that means there's a possibility we still may get Usyk versus Joshua. Right? And that's what excites me. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed. It's been an interesting, I'm not going to get too much into it because it's not about the war, but if you guys have noticed, we've seen, obviously pictures of Lomachenko, Usyk, things like that. Okay, we're not going to box this year. We're going to be, a part of the war. We're going to help, et cetera, et cetera. But then we also seen that, the whole other side of the spectrum, the opposite end of Russian fighters, like a Bivol. See what I'm saying? Who's the other Russian fighter that's still going to be fighting? They were trying to tell him. Let's stick to Bivol real quick. You had Klitschko, the mayor, of Ukraine, a particular the capital in Ukraine. I can't remember the name. I think it's Kyiv or something like that. So excuse me. This is not our subject. We're talking about boxing. He was saying there's no way you should be letting Bivol fight. How are you going to let Bivol fight? You should keep him from fighting. That doesn't make any sense. We're going to the MMA side of the game. There was speculation Volkov wasn't going to fight, right? Because everyone's saying he shouldn't fight, but they're making it happen. And these are Russian fighters now. Now there's reports about Peter Yan. People saying Peter Yan shouldn't fight. Peter Yan is upset. He's like, what? This has nothing to do with me. So it's interesting because from the aspect of Russian fighters, we see Russian fighters still coming in, making weight, and fighting. Correct. Well, on the Ukraine side, obviously, it's two total different, situations. They need as much help as they can get. So they need, maybe more so than just, those who are in the military or dedicated to the military, however they describe the situation when it comes to fighting for their country. They need more than just, the skilled and the trained and the people we have set up for it. We need our civilians as well. That's how they're making it look in the news, whether it's true or not. That's what's being, reported and presented to us. So obviously, Lomachenko was one of those people. Usyk was one of those people. But what I find interesting is the overwhelming positivity to Lomachenko wanting to come back and fight Kambosos and finding a way to leave Ukraine, while the negativity towards someone like a Bivol, who is, going to make this fight with Canelo happen, and people feel like he shouldn't because he's Russian. We're not getting into that. That's not what it's about. I just think it's interesting. That's my perspective on the situation. Let's get into this article. I'm not going to make this too long-winded, but let's see how likely of a chance this is going to happen. Eddie Hearn actually reported maybe about a couple of days ago, it might have been yesterday, that he feels like he's very close to getting the Devin Haney versus George Kambosos Jr.'s deal done. So we have two conflicting reports. Maybe Eddie Hearn coming out and saying that they're close to getting this deal done and this fight done between Kambosos and Devin Haney is what made Lomachenko and his team come out and say, hey, we're looking to leave Ukraine and we're looking to still get this fight. Because you got to remember this too. Loma's not in Usyk's position. Usyk has all the power when it comes to when he wants to fight and how he wants to fight. You know what I'm saying? He has all the belts. He's undefeated. Lomachenko, not so much. He had that loss against Teofimo. He had the loss earlier in the year. So it's important for, especially with Lomachenko getting early, he can't miss out on any opportunities. And this is an opportunity. So let's see what they say real quick on this article. I'm not going to read too much. Vasiliy Lomachenko was reportedly looking to get permission to leave the war zone in Ukraine to train for a fight against undisputed lightweight champion George Kambosos Jr. on June 5th. That's not too far away, guys. The former 3-division world champion Lomachenko recently joined the Territorial Defense Battalion to help defend Ukraine against Russian invasion. Lomachenko will need permission from the officials with the Ukrainian government to leave the country. However, because they're at war with Russia, they require all men from 18 to 60 to defend the country. So this is a great report, but if you want to be honest, I just don't see it being likely. I see Devin Haney versus Kambosos much more likely happening than Lomachenko getting the clear to come in this box. Ukraine is a smaller country than Russia, and its military isn't anywhere near as large or as equipped with arms. The idea for Lomachenko to leave Ukraine to train for 8 weeks for the fight with the unbeaten Kambosos. Y'all, I got a random call. I don't know the fuck that is. Afterwards, Lomachenko will likely return to Ukraine and continue to defend his country. For him to be given an exception to leave at this time, it could prove difficult. With the way the war is going, a lot can change in 2 months. Yeah. If Lomachenko stayed out of the country for that long, taking a fight against Kambosos. If Lomachenko isn't granted permission, WBC lightweight champion Devin Haney will be the one of the options Kambosos promoter Louis DeBelli will be looking at for the June 5th fight. So, we don't have to go too much deep into it. That kind of gives you guys a pretty good gist of what's going on. As much as these reports have been reported, you know what I'm saying? You've seen a lot of people talk about this being a possibility. Let's be 100% with you. It's a long shot. It is a goddamn long shot. So I'm going to know what you guys feel about this. Do you feel like there's a possibility we might see Lomachenko versus Devin Haney? Lomachenko versus George Kambosos is that possible? You feel like it's more so like up in the air? Me personally, looking at it, seeing it, I don't see it happen. I see Devin Haney versus Kambosos most likely being next for the summer. It makes the most sense, but I want to know what you guys think about it, obviously. What do you guys think about my perspective? Just, go ahead, drop it in the comment below. You already know what this is about. I want to hear you guys' opinion on it. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Show me some love.